So today I'm finally gonna share my story with you guys. Well, not all, but I mean, um, so it might sound a little bit all over the place because I'm nervous. I'm very When I was 9 years old, nine. When I was 8 years old, I lost my dad. When I lost my dad, I was sad. I was depressed. I wouldn't eat, I wouldn't talk, I wouldn't sleep. I would be having weird dreams, waking up out of my sleep. Instances where I'm telling my mom that, I'm seeing my dad. And I was only 9 years old. Some would say I was troubled. I wasn't a troubled child. I would say that after my dad died, I had this fire in me that no matter what anyone did or said, like, there was just this fire that wouldn't out. So one morning I woke up very happy, and I was having a family morning, and I sat there with my mom and my stepdad. And as we sat there, the house phone rang, and I looked up at my mom because after a few seconds she stopped talking. She became silent. She looked at me and she said, "Come and take the phone. Your auntie wants to speak to you." And when I took the phone, my aunt said, "Your dad is gone." I was like, "So he's not coming back?" She said, "No, baby. He's dead." And I ran off and I screamed. I ran off and I screamed. And since that day, I've never been the same. Months passed, everything went into place, night, dead yard, as Jamaicans would call it here. I'm not going to go into too much details on how he died or where he was killed or who he is or anything like that. Then a few years later, I kept changing schools because my mom works a lot and she was always changing jobs, And I understood because now my biological dad was gone. And I said some really mean stuff throughout those years to my mom, out of hurt and anger. And it made me depressed. When I went to school, I would barely have friends because I don't talk a lot, especially to strangers or new people. I'm not very friendly, and a lot of people would say that, "Hey, I'm mean." So, when I was going to school, I didn't have much friends. some girls or some boys would say that I'm, for example, when I was going to primary school up until high school, I was called a walking dictionary for always being able to provide an answer for any word that was thrown at me. I could give you the noun and the adjective and the pronouns, the verb, etc. So I was always that kid that was looked down upon as the snobbish or posh kid. Truth be told, if people really took the time to know me and who I am at heart, I'm not snobbish and I'm not stuck up. I'm only snobbish and stuck up depending on how others are towards me. Now, went to high school. In primary school, high school, I was always fighting because people kept picking at me, always wanting to pick a fight, and then ever since my dad died, I had this little vengeance. Like I told you guys earlier in the start, I had this like fire. When my dad died, I was never the same child anymore. I spoke less. I talked to my mom less. I became, as some would say, gothic. My mom would always be concerned and I would always shut her out because I didn't know how to express myself. Moving right along, spiraling down the line, I got into a fight in high school which had ended up in, or I should say resulting in me going into juvie. Going into juvie was the worst years of my teenage life. I'll give you guys a whole story on my experience in juvie another time. But I went into juvie at 13. And, went into juvie, I was still fighting. Then I got a correctional order. Yes, correctional order. When I got a correctional order, I was locked away in Armadale Juvenile Correctional Center. And that's where my perspective and my mind changed a lot. Everybody kept asking what inspired me to want to be an artist. When I was locked in juvie, all I had was music that I could relate to, or poetry I could write. I could express myself in words. Being in juvie had mentally and emotionally destroyed me because the more I stayed there, the more I became suicidal. I couldn't see my friends. I couldn't see my mom. Whenever I'd have visitations, they were cut short. My phone calls were cut short. Whenever something happened in the dormitory, everybody had to suffer for that one person. And, I've had instances where girls group upon me, and I had to be fighting back. And when I fight, they take away my visiting rights from me. I don't get to see my family, and I don't get any phone calls, or I'm locked on the dormitory and I can't go outside, and I have to eat with my hands, and sometimes the toilet is clogged up, you're having to use a bucket, etc. Running along into 2009 May was when I really, really lost it mentally, and I've never really been able to genuinely open up and be honest with myself and others with how I really, really feel, because I'm always having to be strong. I'm always thinking that people are gonna, say I'm trying to seek pity. It's not pity. Reality is, to grow and to move forward, you have to be able to confront the pain on your past. So this is me confronting, or the start on my journey to healing and letting go the pain and letting go the past and the things that have hurt me. I stood at the age of 14 watching a building ablaze with friends, girls that I spent years of my life around, and I was unable to do anything. And a very, very close friend that died in that fire, she died and we weren't on good terms. And there are girls that have lived through, and I am proud to say that I know you guys if you ever see this vlog. And I have learned so much from you guys being in Armadale. Your journey was also my journey. We shared that journey, and that is something that we can relate on, and we will always share. I have segregated myself from a lot of my colleagues that I know up to this day from Armadale, because I run away from the past and I have not been wanting to deal with it mentally or emotionally, because I hate breaking down. You know, after the fire happened and we were moved to another location, I couldn't sleep. I had trouble sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes to sleep, I could hear the screams. I could see the fire, because even on the night of the fire, I stood in front of the dormitory right there and just watched everybody running around. I was clueless what to do. I saw girls coming out of the building and skin a drop off of them body. You know, literal flesh falling from friends, you know. I'm sorry if I'm crying. I have not really spoken this in a very, very long time. And a friend of mine said that, you know, she believes that I should share a little of my story. So I'm doing just that. You know, it's a struggle. I couldn't sleep for about 2 years, even after I was released a few months after the fire from juvie. You know, I had problems sleeping, you know, operating into the real world, because coming back into the real world was different. You know, it was a struggle for me. I had to learn how to adjust myself to society all over again. While having problems sleeping, I had to be seeing psychiatrists on every other week basis. I had to be taking sleeping pills to go to my beds at night, to the point where one night I took so much. Right before I was released, one night I took so much that I overdosed. And I passed out. And that's something I never really told my mom or my friends or family. A lot of people really don't know. You know, and it was really traumatizing what I went through in juvie. You know, I came home and I went back into society, and I tried to fit in. Then after that, I was going back to school and everything was going good for me. Then I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, my whole life changed. My whole life changed. I became a mom at 16. I wasn't ready. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I was with a man who was physically abusive. If I tried to express myself, he wouldn't understand and he would misinterpret whatever I'm saying, and then he would get aggressive, and then I would get angry, and whenever I get angry and fight back, he wants to, get physical, and then we'd always be getting into fights physically. And for a while I said enough is enough, and I had to step away. And when I stepped away, he still came around, and when he came around, he tried to do everything to make it right and pretend if everything was okay. And we had our fair share. He is a good dad to my kid, but he wasn't a good man to me. The mere fact that you had to physically abuse me, so, and as the years went along, I went back to school after that, and by the time I was 18, I became a pole dancer because I wanted to finish nursing school, and my mom wasn't well, and she wasn't in a job at the time, and I didn't know what to do. And then I had this older guy who was very controlling. He would want to beat on me if I go to a party and he's not there and he doesn't know. And now this guy that I'm talking about, he isn't my child dad, so I'm just telling you like different scenarios, so I have went through a lot, and I have came across a lot of abusive men. At one point, I remember I was living in the garrison, and I had this guy. He would take care of me, really take care of me, but one day we had a dispute, and he pulled his pistol out on me, and I never told my mom, nor my uncle or my siblings or anybody that was living around at the time. I just asked him to politely leave my home, because as a result of him pulling the pistol on me, because we had a dispute, I knew in myself that if anybody really knew, I don't know what would have happened that night. So I left him there, and went on to creating my own path. I have went through all of these things, and recently, about a year or two now, I travel a lot, so whoever follows me or watch my channel, that's on my Instagram, they can tell you that sometimes I'm gone for months at a time away from home. And my home was broken into, and a lot of my stuff, furniture, clothing, etc., were stolen, and there's no one to be held accountable. And something dawned on me a few days ago and said that, hey, Lee, you can't hold anyone accountable. Hold yourself accountable, because it was a choice when you left your stuff there in your house while struggling and not knowing what's going to happen, if anyone's going to break in the house or anything. So I decided to hold myself accountable for whatever has happened to me. And here's why. What happens to us is what we allow. And if we as women allow obnoxious men to come into our lives and control us and beat down on us and tell us what to do, how to dress, and sexualize us because we wear, bralettes that shows our stomach and, hipsters jeans and booty shorts or a tight fitting dress. It's not right for them to hit on us. But if we allow them, we sit and not say anything, and we not stop them in their tracks and say, hey, listen, be mindful of how you speak to me. Be mindful of how you approach me. Speak out, stand up for ourselves as women. Or just people in general. If we don't stand up for ourselves, because there are also men out there that are being abused by their partners, So, as human beings, we need to learn to stand up and speak out. I'm sorry if I sound, like I said, a little flustered and all over the place, guys. It's really taking a lot out of me, and, just trying to go back into the past and, open that little box inside my head again is taking everything out of me right now to make this video. So I might seem all over the place, so I do very much apologize, and I hope you guys, understood what I went through. So if you ever see me on social media and you try to speak to me and I might not speak to you, it's not because I think I'm better than you. It's because I'm scared of letting people in. It's because I am not sure who I can trust. I have been broken. I have been used by friends and family, guys. I have been used and abused emotionally, verbally, mentally, spiritually, physically. I have been through a lot, and I want to say I'm still on my journey to healing. So if you're still on your journey to healing or you haven't started yet, start now. Start today. Tell your story. There's someone who is listening and somebody that can relate. I hope you guys liked my video today, and I'll see you soon. Make sure that you hit like and subscribe. Ciao.
Be the fam, that's what they call me. Promise that you never be lonely. Be the